What's up, guys? So, welcome back to another video. And as you can see from the title of the video, it's based on Kenyan politics. I really do not like talking about politics, but at the end of the day, it's the thing that actually controls a certain state or a country. And personally, my opinion on the current politics in Kenya, it's just as useless as the people who are trying to persuade the people that they are better than the other party. I'll say this as a Kenyan. Of course, I'm not in Kenya, but I'll say this. William Ruto is not the best. That's the truth. He has done things which are very, 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 very bad. And we even question if he's truly a man of God, of which, personally, I cannot say he is. Well, from the actions he does and the things he did to the people my age during the Gen Z protest, etc. Because at the end of the day, he was the commander-in-chief. And the way things are right now, Rigathi Gachagua is perceiving himself as a savior, and he will perceive himself and his friends as people who are being hunted down by the government. I mean, it can be true. It can be true. It is true, maybe. I'm not with him. But at the end of the day, he will get in power and he will play along for maybe 3 years, 4 years. And then later on, when he wants to go into the second term, he will fuck everything up. And then who will actually get who will be blamed and who will be crying? At the end of the day, it isn't him, it is you, a normal Kenyan. So why in the bloody hell would you, as a Kenyan, man or woman, have that thought process knowing that this person, as much as he is campaigning wherever he's campaigning and actually sending these press releases of saying that he's being hunted down, not only him, Matiang'i, or even being looked down on, like let's say Maraga or anyone else. At the end of the day, sometimes I just look at these politicians and I am just like, come on, is that the best thing you can actually pull, man? You know? Because, look, okay, I'm not saying as if he is the best option, but even the options we usually try and persuade people to vote for, it just showcases the level of Kenyans, the level of awareness, rather, in the Kenyan community or in the whole country. I mean, if your best person to represent a country is someone who, let's say right now, the best person who's representing the country is William Ruto, it shows how people are thinking. Don't blame William Ruto. If William Ruto is a liar, it shows how many people in Kenya are liars. You're just projecting yourself. You're using one person to project to the world who you are. It's like choosing a girlfriend. I mean, at the end of the day, your girlfriend will actually mirror the behaviors and the attitudes you have. So William Ruto is mirroring those specific qualities. And I'm not saying every Kenyan from A to Z is a liar, is a cheater, and will actually do harmful things towards young or old people, middle-aged people. No, I'm not saying that. Of course, there are some people who are good at heart and at mind and at soul. That's not what I'm saying for most Kenyans, that is. What I'm trying to say is, if the majority of the Kenyans had that perception, or they were easily swayed into thinking that you have to be a man of God and also, going to church, and that will actually make you go into a top leadership position in the country, not in an organization, but in a country. Like, at the end of the day, he is the one who determines the fate of yourself, your wife, your children, if you have a mother, if you have a father, if you have a brother or a sister, you have a nephew, whatever it might be. He is the one who determines the fate of what you will get financially. He will determine what will happen to the country. So it's just like a mirror. And now the same thing is happening in Kenya with, what's his name? Rigathi Gachagua. It shows how many Kenyans are thinking the same way. It's a mirror. That's it. He's literally saying what any ordinary Kenyan would have said about Ruto. Anyone. And he will sell the same lies. Hey, and I'm not saying as if I've been in the future. Maybe perhaps he will perform better. Perhaps maybe he will actually put some policies in play and actually benefit the ordinary Kenyan. But personally, if I was in a position where I should vote in uh, let's say, a respectful candidate, I wouldn't have gone for him. I wouldn't go for Matiang'i. I wouldn't go for Rigathi Gachagua. I wouldn't go for Maraga. I will go for someone who's not popular. I will go for someone, well, I'm not saying not popular, but a person who is firm with his words. Sometimes popularity, yes, popularity you can sell the firmness, because at the end of the day, if you make it into politics as high as Matiang'i or Rigathi Gachagua or even Maraga is trying to get into, you have to be you have to have some flaws. Yes, of course, human being is in a position where he or she should make mistakes, but at the end of the day, you cannot claim that every politician now you see after Ruto rather is as good as they are. You know, it's it's quite it's quite disturbing seeing the current trend in Kenyan politics. But if you were to ask me, the best candidate for the presidential position, I mean, it's so early. It's in 2025. I know in terms of politics in Kenya, people actually rally like a year before or even 2 years before. Like right now, people are starting to rally in those markets, in those cities, you know. So it's just the country is so focused on politics, which is disturbing, but Kenyans don't have anything else to do. Plus, I'm not saying politics is bad. I like politics sometimes, you know, sometimes, because it's it is the X factor. It's the government that will determine how you'll actually live and the amount of money you'll bring to your family or to your house or to yourself or to your wife or to your kids if you're a single parent, etc. So it's something I'd say most of us Kenyans have to be aware of, you know, like, come on, man. As much as he's trying to sway you into that perception of viewing him as maybe show some form of sympathy or I'm being killed. I mean, I'm not saying that Rigathi Gachagua should lose his life, because at the end of the day, he's a father and he is a husband to someone and maybe he is an uncle to someone. So losing someone so close to you as a father or as a husband or even as an uncle, it is quite traumatizing. And what I'd urge Kenyans is to be very careful, and come 2027, they should be really, really, let's say, smart in who they will choose, because this is like a ticking time bomb now. Now, honestly, if you choose the wrong person, you are screwed. Especially young people such as myself, because I'll be in 2030. I'll be like 30 or 29 years old, so I don't want to choose someone where, if I'm in Kenya, that is, who will actually ruin my health, my form of living, and in terms of even the country, the beauty of it. I don't want someone to ruin the perception that people might have about Kenya. I don't want that. I will do my level best to improve the quality of Kenya in my own level way, because I believe I can. In any way, I can. I can market a country. I represent Kenya while I'm outside here. Of course, I'm not in Kenya, but I represent Kenya the way I'd want people who do not know Kenya as a country that is firm, that is respectful, and the men there aren't as, let's say, disrespectful towards men or women or old men. I mean, at the end of the day, you are an image. You showcase, you represent a certain community or a certain nation or a certain state. So, as you can see, as I finish, I'd like to say the current narrative that is going around, like, come on, man, just just let it be. Let the politics just play. Let them play their game, because right now they are playing their game. You know, Rigathi Gachagua, Ruto, Sudi, Maraga, Matiang, they are playing their game. You know, and the much you can do, you are just a fan and you like the drama, and this is entertainment for you. This is entertainment for you. Perhaps it's true. For them, they are fighting for their lives, but for you, it's entertainment. You couldn't care less about what happens. Right now, I am very sure, if Rigathi Gachagua was to be shot dead, I believe, yes, there will be some sort of, you know, backlash towards the Ruto government, but I don't think it will be big enough. It will only go for like 7 months or 5 months, and then people will forget it. Maybe there'll be um, maybe protest mixed with the Gen Z protest again if he is taken down, but I don't think there'll be much impact because they will choose someone else and say the same things what he said. Perhaps maybe the delivery will be different because at the end of the day, Riggy G knows how to talk in an emotional standpoint, but as a politician, so because he's in the game, he has been in the game for quite some time. But this narrative of saying we cannot choose another person or we cannot see any other person, there's usually another person. But that's the disgusting thing about democracy. Once this party doesn't work, you believe, you as a Kenyan or as a voter, you believe the other party will do a different job. But at the same time, they read from the same script. That's why I don't like democracy. Does that mean I hate? I mean, does that mean that I hate, that I love dictatorship? No, I don't like dictatorship. Dictatorship is nonsense. It means you don't have any form of free will. You don't even have the freedom of expression, of which I'm doing right now. But there's this fine line. There's this fine line where there is democracy, but some form of dictatorship. And I'll say something like the Burkina Faso president. Of course, I don't know how the system of government there is, but do you think the people of Burkina Faso will ever get someone like Traore ever again? They, the people, will alter the constitution, and I said this, I think yesterday or the day before. They will alter the constitution to make him stay there for a really long time because they know he cares for them. So why is it that we as Kenyans we can never find our own version of Traore? It is there, but the problem is we never give them a chance, and the other problem is they are susceptible to corruption. I mean, they can easily sell themselves, and it tells a lot. It tells us about ourselves as young Kenyans. I mean, we cannot sacrifice ourselves for the sake of the cause, because at the end of the day, the problem is having loyalty to the cause is that the cause will always betray you as a man or a woman. So we often see it with Casmo. He perceived himself and he gave himself and he made us see himself as an outstanding and beacon of hope for the young people. But what happened? In all honesty, he decided to play the long game. Do I blame him? No, but yes, I do blame him. Because at the end of the day, you cannot be somewhere telling people that I'm the leader of Gen Z, of which you weren't, because it was leaderless. But you cannot be here saying that you fight against the government and then enter the government and then tell people, I am not in the government. You are in the government. It's okay to say it. You have to own up as a man. But the way things are going in the Kenyan politics scene, it's very, very dangerous. It's very dangerous. Because one wrong move, one wrong person to enter that seat ever again, you're fucked. You as a young person, and I'm talking also to myself, I'm also fucked if I actually choose someone who's stupid, who doesn't care about one, the state, two, the country or even the counties, and three, the ordinary man. If they do not care about those three people, and if they try and sell you that belief and you look at their track record and you question it, like, come on. And I know people will say Kibaki was the closest thing to a great president. I mean, at the end of the day, he's the one who triggered the PEV, 2007, 2008, post-election violence. If he didn't swear himself in at around 6 p.m., we wouldn't have lost fellow Kenyans at that time, but it was more of a learning curve. I wouldn't say it's a learning curve, but because people lost their lives, people lost their moms, people lost their children. The things that happened to people, it was quite horrific, and I'd say whoever is going through that I'm really sorry. That's all I can say. And I know it isn't much, but I wouldn't want that for any person in this current era, because it would be more bloody. Because there's this power of the phone, power of social media, where you can manipulate lots of young people into doing things which are disgusting. I mean, there are platforms such as deepfakes, so we have to be really careful. These 2027 elections will determine, like, until 2033, till 2030 rather, sorry, 2030. So wherever you are, and if you're thinking that Rigathi Gachagua is the best option, please sit down. There are other options that are coming up, and even in the county level, please evaluate those options closely. Do not believe these lies. Do not believe these people who perceive themselves or showcase themselves on media stations or during those interviews with Jeff, that they are good people. Look at the track record. Of course, every man and every woman did something wrong, and we need to learn forgiveness. I understand that. But there are things, the things that any man or any woman doesn't change. And those things, you have to be very careful, because they will trickle down not only to you, but to your son, because they will look up to such kind of people. And if it means they went to a certain level in order to do that, if it meant he has to kill in order to be, like a top don in the country or in the county or in a state or in a town, he will do that. So we really have to choose leaders who are very, like, firm with what they say, and manly. Like, when they mean it, they mean it. But the problem is, we cannot choose only people who mean it without people who aren't smart. And when I say smart, I don't literally mean book smart only or street smart. Some form of intelligent awareness, even in terms of I'd say spiritual things, like some form of awareness. I think so. Like, it has to really go deep. You're just not choosing someone to represent you. You're choosing someone who your son or your daughter will look up to. But now, I don't know. All I'll say, wherever you are, if you're especially if you're a Kenyan and you're watching this, be very careful and take your time. Take your time. Take your time. As much as someone is saying or actually playing the tune that you like, wait. In politics, the patience is very key. Time will tell. Time is as beautiful as it gets. You will see everything in the fullness of time. So take your time, be patient, listen to every perspective apart from Bruto, of course. That guy's fucked. Every party, every other man or any other woman, listen to their perspectives, and if you reason out their perspective, make sense of it, and you make sense of it, you will see maybe out of 5, maybe 2 will make sense. So you have to be very careful wherever you are, especially if you're a Kenyan and you'll be voting. And my advice to you, as I said, sit down, be patient, and have time. In the fullness of time, you'll see who is the best option. Not now. Things are going too fast right now. So take your time and be patient. As I finish, ciao ciao.